Hello and welcome to the 2024 Cars from Japan Ultimate Tuner Car Competition. Now what's it all about? Well, we are trying to find the best modified street car in Australia. But here's the thing, everyone's opinion on what the best street car is, well, it's always a little bit different. It's very subjective. So we've tried to make it objective by putting some scoring behind it so some of the best street cars in the country can come together at Cootamundra Airport and prove it. You need to be more than fast, you need to be reliable, drivable, you've got to be able to go around corners and stop, and you've got to get some very cool judging criteria for both presentation and for engineering. So let's take a look at how that judging system works. We'll show you the competitors and see who has Australia's ultimate tuner car. Let's go.
There will always be subjective opinions on what makes the best street car. We have come up with a judging criteria that we think works and combines the right combination of both. Cars must first drive from Yass to Cootamundra Airport, and on day one we have engineering judging worth 10 points, done by one of our staff with an engineering background. Presentation judging, also worth 10 points. A drivability test that I perform based on 20 years of driving various modified cars, and a handling course worth 20 points. Then, during the Tuner's Edge drag battle and PRP GTR challenge, we send them down Cootamundra Airport's runway to see how fast they are. We take an average of their best two runs, with ET worth 20 points and mile per hour worth 20 points. The performance data is scaled, with the slowest car getting 5 points, the fastest getting 20, and the rest scaled in between, and a DNF gives 0. We met the guys at Yass Service Centre on the Thursday morning and got ready to roll.
G'day everybody, my name's Adam Bolton. Today I brought down my 1995 R33 GTR. I've always loved the 33, used to have a GDST, and unfortunately it got stolen and burnt. While I was in Perth, I decided, time to bite the bullet and get a 33, but instead of a GDST, I thought I'd step it up and get a GTR. To the untrained eye, it looks like a standard car, but once you hear it going, it's it definitely lifts some eyebrows.
Adam's R33 GTR, all the way from WA, is not the norm for GTR Challenge, being both still a 2.6 litre and running a standard 5-speed H-pattern gearbox. That didn't stop him from joining the RH9 club. Adam built his own forged engine, and it now has a precision 6875 Sportsman turbo on a 6-boost exhaust manifold with Hypertune intercooler and an old-school Greddy inlet manifold. HKS fuel rail, high-octane racing trigger kit, and Howtech Elite 2500 ECU tuned by Just Engine Management. Stock 5-speed and diffs, stock interior except for Nismo cluster and gear knob, and the exterior is stock with just Mickey Thompson's ET Street R's.
Stock gearbox.
Wow!
Yep.
Did you hear that? Stock gearbox!
Basically from the clutch back is stock.
Respect. Or a sequential. It's actually been a while since I've driven a 2.6 with a big turbo.
Yeah, it's laggy as.
But the main thing is, does it drive normally okay? Like that's what the drivability is all about. So if we were in traffic, I mean, you wouldn't pull out in front of someone in a hurry unless you had to drive aggressively, but you can still cruise along fine and I can shift harder than that, but there's just no point. But at the same time, you can just drive around, feel onto it, because you know you've got plenty of...
What else do you want? You want to just feel good, have a good time.
But a 6,75 Sportsman, that's a big turbo for a 2.6. So, yeah, the little engine they could keep on rocking. Once she's on, man, she's just good. Yeah, she's chumming good.
I think the best way to describe that drive is I felt like I went back in time a little bit, right? This reminds me of why I fell in love with GTRs. They're raw, they're aggressive. When you've got a 2.6 litre with a big turbo, they hit nice and hard. It's not the most responsive car you're ever going to drive. You know, with a H pattern, it's harder work to get the most out of it, but sometimes that is the fun factor, right? Some cars, when you got to work for the performance, makes them lots of fun and very satisfying. And it's exactly what this 33 does. When you're driving it normally, it just feels like a freshened up R33 GTR. You can cruise around it, you can drive it perfectly. It doesn't really take away from the GTR driving experience when you just want to cruise. When you want to get up it, though, you need to count a little bit to sort of be ready for it. But once it's on, man, it's got some cool grunt. It's an easy car to handle the power with and a whole lot of fun. And sometimes that's just what it's all about. But this just brings back so many like mid-2000 vibes, 2.6 litre, big turbo, bit of lag, then it hits, then it's on and it's fun. And you just, yeah, it's so good. Drivability-wise compared to modern stuff, I don't need to go down that path. It doesn't matter. But you can still enjoy this car as a street car. And when you want that power, oh yeah, she good.
Hey everyone, I'm Romanos and I've got my R34 GTR, aka RHM, and I like to go fast. For me, it's a real driver's car. You like that one, Tony? That was for you, Tony. So the car was built pretty much for roll racing. We do take it drag racing every now and then. Last year at GTR Festival, we did an 8.2. Last year for GTR Challenge, we broke the manual record and we got an 8.6 down. This year we're a little bit quicker, a little bit more power. We made a few more little tweaks to the car, nothing major. Yeah, we should be a little bit quicker, hopefully.
Since last year, RHM has been teched to go drag racing with the fitment of a roll cage. While he was at it, Romanos gave the car some cosmetic upgrades with Mind's rear boot lip spoiler, carbon rear wing, carbon mirrors and Z-Tune style bonnet all finished with a shade of green. There is Z-Tune front guards and rear fender flares, S-Tune style front bumper, Motive headlight duct, and RHM runs 18-inch Nismo wheels wrapped in Raiden Hero drag radials. Inside, the carbon seats have also copped the shade of green, and there is a Motec digital dash instead of the MFD, as well as a Nismo 320 km/h speedo and Mind steering wheel. Tying the look into the engine bay is the carbon air guide with the same shade of green, but the billet RB30 is the centerpiece with a 3.4 litre Cali stroker crank, ported head, and Ross dry sump with Ross cam covers. The turbo is a Precision Pro mod, huge for a manual GTR. On a 6-boost exhaust manifold with Turbo Smart external wastegate, and blows through a Plasmaman intercooler into a Plasmaman inlet manifold. B2R have tuned the Link ECU to 1550 horsepower for Cootamundra, although more is available at the drag strip, and that power transfers through a direct clutch services twin plate to an Albin's 6-speed sequential transmission, and there is a Hollinger rear differential.
I've driven this before, and I will say this. Most people say it'd be an honour to ever get behind the wheel of RHM. It's a very well-known car. Yep. It's done some pretty wild things, but you still drive it on the street. We do. I know that I get what cars like this get like. They're getting pretty wild. It's like we don't drive them to the shops every day or anything, but we certainly hit the streets with them. Yeah, let's take it for a little drive, what it drives like normally first. Obviously, you have different settings and things like that. You can have the exhaust in quiet, you can have boost controller off and just drive it normal, or we can quick things up. Done. We'll go with normal first. Let's do it. Lucky I've driven these before, huh? Yeah. know that 35s, you know, technically are a better road car, but these things are just so cool.
They're a driver's car.
Bird wants to race. Now, I get it, a normal person probably isn't going to drive one of these around comfortably on the street, are they? Like, let's face it. But
100% no, it's not everyone's cup of tea. For me though, I love it.
oh, dude.
I love the sounds it makes.
You know that score in the judging, the Bad Motherfucker Award?
Yeah.
Yeah, well. Can drive it normally. Let's get the exhaust open and have a little bit more, shall we? And we should probably turn the all-wheel drive on.
Let's do it. Suppose I've actually been passing
Now
around.
do you know how they feel? Now do you know how they feel?
Yeah, holy
Oh man. How much power is that, you reckon?
I think in the 1500s. Yeah, 1500s.
Oh dude, I was only revving at what, 8 in the mid? It's just wild, bro. I actually, I think the most powerful Skyline I've driven from memory is, I think I drove War on about 1350. So if that was 1500, that's the fastest Skyline GTR power level I've probably driven.
Really? That's cool. What do you think?
Man, wow, it's something else.
That's cool, eh?
I will say this car lives up to its reputation and its hype as one of the craziest Skyline GTRs on the planet. I have the shakes from the adrenaline that you get driving this car. It is insane just how fast this car is. Now here's the thing we need to talk about for Ultimate Tuner Car though, is considering it has a Pro Mod on it, which is a massive turbo, obviously the capacity of this engine means it's actually still drivable on the street. And yeah, a shot of gas is good to get it on, or you've got to ride the clutch in first gear to get it on. But if you know how to drive this car, you can still take advantage of its performance and use it. I was short shifting a little bit because it's got enough engine capacity to do it. But man, once this thing was on, it was actually relatively stable in a roll-on in second, I will say that. And then once you start pulling gears, if you haven't got the reflexes and the balls to stay into it, you'll get very scared very quickly. But if you know what to do, wow, I'll say wow 1,000 times and it's still not enough to say what it's like to drive RHM. And apparently I'm the first person to drive it on this turbo setup. And just remember, there's a couple hundred horsepower to go on the next setting after this.
Excuse me? A baking powder?
So I can't even imagine what that's like. But the funnest part was probably seeing the look on Romanos's face. Now he knows how his passengers feel when he takes them for a ride at roll racing. This thing is a monster, and although it hasn't got the creature comforts and the luxury of the more modern cars in this competition, for the older chassis category pre-2007, it still drives better than you think it would, and that's just proof of how good the guys at B2 are with their engine build, their tuning, the technology that in the parts we now have in GTRs. You almost just want to give it 10 out of 10 for just that wow factor and the smile on your face and the laughing that you do afterwards, because you're terrified but excited at the same time. Whatever you want to combine those two emotions to be is what this thing does every time you give it a hit. It is crazy. Well, he is the defending champion of the pre-2007 Ultimate Tuner Car competition. You've done it again. Romanos in RHM. There you go, mate. How you feeling?
Very, very good.
I've got to ask this, right? It's people are going to say, I drove the car.
Yeah.
What power setting was I on? What mile an hour did it run when you drove it on that same power?
180 mile an hour, and that was the medium boosted. And that's legit too. No gas. So that's roughly around that 1550 mark.
I was absolutely terrified but excited at the same time. And the onboard footage of your reaction, you get it now, huh?
I proper myself. So now I know what it's like to be a passenger in AHM, and now I know why these guys are reacting the way they do. My heart was racing.
Now, also, the other thing you've done is you've actually reset the mile an hour record for a Skyline GTR when you did that with 180 mile an hour.
Skyline, that's pretty good.
That's wild, dude.
That's very good. I'm happy with that. What was it previously?
I think it was 177 before.
Wow, that's awesome.
So that's pretty good. Now, obviously, a lot of people, they just don't understand how have the guys done it? How have they made a car that makes that much power, but you were still able to drive it here?
I don't know. Ask the boys from B2R. They probably, they do a killer job. The guys have been hard at work at it. Boys refining, tweaking it. We do drive it on the street every now and then, but it's probably not everyone's cup of tea. But yeah,
I loved it.
I loved it too. So do I.
Awesome, man. Well done.
Thank you, Motive. Thank you, PRP. Cars Japan. Thanks, guys.
Hi, my name's Nathan Brown. This is my 2020 Nissan GTR R35. I took the car to Precision because they're the best in the industry.
Second best.
This is actually my second R35. I had a 2015 Model 1, decided to go there again. I just love the car. So it's a PR12 package, so Precision Racing. It's got 1300 horsepower, and I've done an 8.3 down 168 down in Eastern Creek. Future plans, not quite sure yet. I'm enjoying the package as it is. I chose this package because it's very streetable. The PR16 is known to break things sometimes, so PR12 is what I chose.
Nathan Brown returned to Cootamundra Airport in his 2020 R35 GTR from Precision Racing. This is a true street car with aircon and all the factory creature comforts, making its time even more impressive. The car essentially is the Precision Racing PR12 package, which is their built engine, PR12 turbo kit that uses Garrett GTX 3576 turbochargers, Plasmaman intercooler, AMS inlet manifold, Motec M150 package, and all the support gear required. And it's paired up with a PR12 gearbox package.
I drove this last year.
Yep.
It didn't really need any changing, did it?
No, and it hasn't had any changes either. Same car.
This thing was definitely one of the cars that is just spot on for what it is, and it's very hard to change anything to make it better other than trying to make it faster, right? But
exactly.
I think we've spoken before that this is kind of the last power spot before they stop being mega responsive and become a bit, I've got to play around a bit more.
At the top,
So this thing was definitely one of the best to drive, and being a later model one is probably as good as it gets. So I know I've driven it before, but
Yep, here we go again.
Here we go again. And as you can see, driving normally, you can just be in auto and
It's perfect for a street car.
So I just want to show the viewers what this thing drives like with partial throttle and drivability. So on the street, you want to get moving, this thing still has a part throttle that you can use and makes it super drivable, but obviously if you like just that is just bang.
You can never get sick of that feeling, it's so quick.
Let's go. It just doesn't get old in this car, man. Like, I know it's not the most powerful 35 I've driven, but it's certainly just the best all-round package.
It's the best package, and that's why I chose the PR12 over the 16.
This has a PR12 kit, and I think I've said this before, that it's pretty much the perfect all-round combo for an R35 GTR. This is probably as large a turbo as you want to get to retain that instant throttle response that you get with the VR38. You go bigger than this, it starts getting laggy. But at the same time, it still makes 1300 and is an 8-second car, which the more you think about that that's mind-blowing. You can drive this to the shops. It hasn't lost any drivability over a standard R35 GTR. Part throttle still works on it. It's comfortable. We had the aircon on. You can have it in quiet mode on the exhaust. This really does embody everything that this competition is all about, of being a genuine streetable car that has huge amounts of performance that doesn't try to kill you at the same time. This thing's perfect.
Felt like it was on rails. That was a great run.
Hey,
what's
that's
the time?
the quickest 60 anyone's done today. Was a 1:511, and you got a PB 8:779.
Perfect. Time to pump it up.
We all know that I'm a massive GTR fan and incredibly biased, so there has to be, for the Cars from Japan Ultimate Tuner car, the quickest GTR, and you've won that, mate.
Great, thank you. Got a PB myself here this weekend, so yeah, it's running well.
Now, what was the big difference this year, obviously, with the PBs? Was it just track conditions? Was it practice? There was a car setup? What was it?
Exactly the same setup, but last year was the first day I'd actually got in my car, so I've had a year of driving this one. Yeah.
It pays off, doesn't it?
It does.
Hey everyone, my name's Phil Maher and behind me is a 2026 Lamborghini Huracan PR package Stage 1 Plus. I've had the previous version to this, the Lamborghini Gallardo, so I bought this car while I had that car, and the previous owner of that car was suggesting to do the twin turbo package. That's what he was going to do to it. He ended up buying an Audi R8 and did the package to the Audi R8. I've done it to this one. We've gone head to head and I have beat him, so there's some minor differences between the two cars. There's something in it that makes it just that little bit better than the R8, so we'll see how we go today.
Phil's twin-turbo Lamborghini Huracan from Precision Racing shows just how capable the V10 platforms are when you add turbos to them. Stock engine with Precision Racing Stage 1 Plus turbo kit, comprising of twin 6466 turbochargers, turbo smart gates, and dual Motec M142 ECUs, making 1100 horsepower. This is handled by a stock transmission. Running on 20-inch wheels and street tyres meant it didn't have the launch of the others, but it shows how it performs all day, every day on the street. The bonus is it can still go around corners.
I'm only driving 3 Lambos this year. Oh God.
No.
What a tough life.
Oh yeah, huh?
All right, let's tell our viewers. So, how long have you had this for?
So I've had this car, bought it in 2020.
Yep.
So off Matt, who's got the blue R8.
Yep.
So I've had that, kept it standard for probably 2 years, and then took it to the Precision, got the Stage 1 Plus kit put on it, started doing the roll racing events, and
Hooked. So for our viewers, Stage 1 Plus is standard engine, their turbo kit, but on E85, so it can make sort of like 1100.
Correct, yeah.
And a clutch upgrade as well?
No clutch upgrade. So clutch upgrade and trans is on the Stage 2 package.
Cool.
So in terms of drivetrain, everything is still factory.
Yeah.
But we still run, 1150 on it. Hasn't missed a beat. Like nothing goes wrong.
And even in normal mode, part throttle.
Yeah. Solid, smooth. It's like not bouncy. It's just
goes. And we're sitting on 200 now. We're having a conversation.
It's like a piece of cake.
Piece of cake.
Yeah. 200k in the other car. You'd be holding on. We'll be wobbling all over the place.
And then we go Corsa.
Yep.
Manual. They're a lot smoother when you roll on from second, because first and second gets a bit aggro.
It's pretty short, yeah. And Aaron will get upset. It's still under warranty, it'll be his problem.
Hi, Aaron. Look how easy it is.
It's a piece of cake. 1150, no worries.
So this one has a Stage 1 Plus, so it's 1150 horsepower, but standard transmission, standard engine internally. But these are just perfect street cars. They drive so good. There's no extra noise, there's no extra vibration, there's no extra or anything. And the fact this one is on street tyres means it just drives like a Huracan, but with more power. So I would say that this is definitely the nicest one to drive normally, and that's just a byproduct of it being the most standard one in the drivetrain and tyre. Although having road tyres did catch me out a little bit while showing him the handling course, because 1150 does not go through a road tyre very well in first gear, I can tell you that much. But once you're moving and you've got some speed underneath, it can put the power down even with a road tyre, which is really nice to try in this car because all the others are on drag radials. So yeah, it's a good time, it drives perfect, and it's just a whole lot of fun. Precision Racing have just done an exceptional job, whether it's a Stage 1 or whether it's Tony's car or George's car with 2,000 horsepower and everything in between. These things are just so hard to fault and so good to drive.
It's a little bit too much power.
Hey everyone, my name's Harry Kalatsides. Behind me is my 2017 Audi R8. I chose to modify my R8 because simply it wasn't fast enough. As far as street cars go, yes, absolutely. Probably, hopefully in the top 1%. Anyone can jump in and drive it. It drives itself. It's a supercar on steroids, I guess. First time out at CUDA, pretty excited. I've always watched the motive videos on YouTube, so I was keen to give it a crack. Now I'm out here, I'll belt it and go as hard as I can.
The Audi R8 is the more conservative choice of the V10 platforms, but Harry's one from Precision Racing is spiced up with some carbon bits and wing. It runs standard wheels with just R888s on the back. The interior is more modest, spacious and comfortable than the Lambos. In fact, there is nothing special giving away what this Audi is capable of unless you understand what the TT on the number plates means. Even the engine bay looks stock to the untrained eye, but when it goes well over 160 miles per hour, you know it's far from it. It uses the Precision Racing Stage 1 Plus kit with twin Precision 6466 turbochargers, Turbo Smart external wastegates, and twin Motec ECUs to make 1100 horsepower.
Yes. I've driven a couple and driven the Lambos, and I will say this, these do actually feel different. And they actually feel a little bit more stable in their setup, they're a little bit smoother, they've got better visibility, they're a bit of a better street car, I think.
the right buy then, eh?
I think so.
Cheaper too. Fuck.
Well, yeah, there's that too, right? But the problem is everyone wants the Lambo badge, don't they?
They do.
I've driven them on the track, I've driven like different versions of this, I drove one of these that's twin turbo in America, like I've driven that many now that you do reach the point where splitting hairs between them to sort of talk about the difference between them and which one's better, but I think some of them have their own character. Yeah. I enjoy the R8s, I guess, as a street car probably the most, just because they drive so normal.
Yeah,
It's just so easy.
I don't want to stop.
So the first question you always ask yourself is R8 versus Lambo. They've basically got the same engine and drivetrain combination once you do the mods to them. Obviously, when you drive them back to back, and they've both got the Stage 1 Plus turbo kit on E85 with the Motec, etc., and similar power. Some people say the R8 is, I guess, is there a weight difference enough to sort of change the acceleration? Not a whole lot. Did it feel any slower or faster? No, it's still brutally fast on that power, but I will say this, the R8 is a slightly more refined street car, both in standard trim and obviously once you've got the extra power. I do find these feel a little bit more stable, both at speed and while accelerating in the lower speeds. They put the power down just that little bit better than what the Lambo does. It's probably got to do with wheelbase suspension setup from Audi. They're just a little bit nicer car to drive. When it comes to drivability though, outside of horsepower, these have a little bit better visibility, they've got a little bit more room inside, they're a little bit more comfortable, but it's not so much that they're better, it's a different style of car. Some people prefer the R8 because it's not as extravagant as the Lambo, it's not as sharp and aggressive as the Lamborghini is to drive, it's a bit more chilled. So it's not a case of one being better than the other, it's more of a case of a different driving style. But like all the cars from Precision Racing today, this thing is just, it's a weapon, and on the street, it's more than enough power at this state of tune. I get on the open runway or at roll racing, sometimes you want a little bit more, but for the street, this is just absolutely perfect.
Hey everyone, my name's Ibrahim Elayoubi. Behind me is my 2018 Audi RS3, aka AMG Killer. Bought the Audi RS3 about 5 years ago, brand new from Audi. In terms of driving on the road, it's very comfortable. Even like with the roll cage in there, the tilt seats, it's still a very comfortable car. Standard seat belts, AC, sunroof, aircon. It's got heated seats. It's not a complicated process of driving the car. It's still a very turnkey package. Very big modification list. The motor went overseas, got sleeved, fully built pretty much. Custom pistons, custom rods, fire rings, copper gaskets, big turbo, ported heads, nitrous, full fuel system, heavy duty clutches put into it, roll cage, carbon fiber seats. Yeah, so I haven't run any times in it yet, just finished it. It's actually just still going for testing at the moment, so it's running very low boost, just testing it out, and then hopefully just take it down the quarter, try to run some good times and take it raw racing, have some fun in it.
Ibrahim bought out his newly built wild Audi RS3. The 5-cylinder has been forged to handle some serious power with the Precision 7275's next-gen turbo on a JDY exhaust manifold, JDY intercooler, iRise Motorsport billet inlet manifold, and carbon and titanium intake. Nitrous and Cyvex ECU with built box means it has the ability to make over 1,000 horsepower. Inside is pretty wild with carbon front seats, the rear seat delete and roll cage. Outside there is carbon everywhere with boot lip spoiler, rear bar section, vented bonnet, headlight duct and front lip. Semi-slick shod 15-inch T37s is a cool touch with small brakes inside.
Now this is a new build, isn't fully finished and tested.
That's right, yeah.
For me it's just about drivability, but you've obviously got some work to do this weekend to dial it in. But yeah, this is probably the most serious RS3 I've driven.
Yeah, no, it's not too bad, man.
It's a pretty cool thing.
No, thanks, man, appreciate it. Yeah, it's something a bit different. Just trying to sort out all the teething issues we're having now.
Yeah.
It's a bit hard, but we'll get there eventually.
I'm actually really curious what it just drives like normally, because this sort of setup is just not what you expect for an RS3.
Yeah, so it's in comfort mode now.
Yeah.
Let's drive like a normal car.
You don't expect them to be completely stock, because then they'd be boring.
That's right, yeah. No, that's good. Not too bad.
And it still drives, I mean, it's got a bigger turbo, so it's not the same. But if you keep the RPM sort of near cruising, it's fine. I just find if I drive sort of 3 or 4, it's a nicer car to drive than the auto mode. And it's just like I said, it's a strange sensation because I'm driving an RS3. Now, it's no secret, I'm actually a pretty big Audi RS3 fan. They're actually one of the best, I guess, all-round practical performance cars that you can own. One on E85 goes 11.0, a bolt-on turbo with exhaust and intercooler intake, etc., can go like 990. They're an awesome piece of kit. So I was really curious to see what it's like to drive one that has tilt carbon seats, roll cage, big turbo. And you know what? It's a weird sensation because the drivetrain and everything is doing what an RS3 does, but you're looking around and you've got the race car stuff inside. Does it destroy the drivability of it? Well, not in terms of, I guess, how it drives from acceleration, braking, turning, but obviously when you've got a drag radial and you've got a big turbo, it's never going to be the same as what a standard one is. It's a different type of car to drive, but you still can drive it normally. You can still have a good time in it, but it spins me out. The wow factor of just, I guess, having such a wild RS3 is pretty cool. Car's not fully dialed in yet for it will over this weekend, but drivability-wise, the thing still drives great, and once this thing's sorted, I can't wait to watch it run an 8-second pass.
Being a new build, the event was really a test session as it went faster over the weekend.
Hi guys, I'm Daniel Garrett and this is my mate Eamon's Lamborghini Huracan Evo 2021. Eamon bought this car a year ago. He went to Precision Racing and got their 2,000 horsepower twin turbo package with pretty much everything you could purchase at the time. You can drive down here, the whole of it, run the whole event, drive it home if you really needed to. It won last year in the drag battle and then it got driven back. So this car is really nice to drive. Being it's got the bigger turbo setup, as long as you're driving and going up high in the gears, you're not really in the turbo power range, so you can cruise it around on the streets. Very sedate for a Lamborghini, if you can call it that. And it drives really nice, got heated seats, so even in the cold I'm nice and warm. So my hopes for this event is to beat its last current time and the last Lamborghini I raced here 2 years ago's time, and potentially take out drag battle once again.
Daniel returned to Cootamundra in the twin-turbo Lamborghini Huracan Evo from Precision Racing. This one's a big boy, twin 76-75 turbochargers and a built engine that has the ability to make up to 2,000 horsepower when pushed. It has a built transmission and the twin Motec ECUs and all the bells and whistles. The interior and exterior of a Huracan Evo doesn't really need any modifying, but the billet wheels wrapped in drag radials lets you know it means business.
Accept the loss, I'm hard-headed. There's a little bit of madness to my method. Many falling off that fine line that I'm treading. I risk anything to be great and I'm not letting nobody rob me of my victory. Number one, that's what I'm meant to be. When by any means, only thing that makes sense to me, I can make nice or make history. I got that dog in me, yeah, turn me up. Big energy, got the crowd going nuts. I got that dog in me, yeah, ante up. I take on anyone, I don't need a one-on-one. I got that dog in me, yeah, I'm talking all bite, no bark. I could rip your squad apart. I got that.
You're back.
Yeah.
You want to go quicker, I hear?
A lot quicker.
Has the car changed at all is the big question.
It's black.
It's black, that's it. So this car has larger turbos, built engine, all the fruit, and we're talking, what, 1850 every day on the street with the ability to make 2,000, right?
Yep.
So it's a monster.
Yeah, it rips tyres.
I feel like this one is the unknown one because not everyone, this car hasn't kind of built the same reputation as the others by being at roll racing 20 times, but it's still this is a big one.
Yeah, it's definitely up there in the competition. I'm very interested to see where the aero of the Performante versus the aero of the Evo being less corner.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that gives me a little edge, or that 0.1 for the win. Joe definitely proved that it's at least capable of going drag battle top contender last year.
Oh yeah, man, this thing's unreal. And I don't get nervous driving the Lambos with that sort of power because they're just so good. So let's show everyone that we'll keep this in strata for now and drive it normal and people can see. What I love about these is hard throttle is they're just so drivable without stressing out. And I wish we had an autobahn because
you could just go.
We're doing 200 right now and we can have a cup of tea and a conversation. Yeah. It's just too easy. Yep. Here we go. What choice have you got? You can't drive it on a street tire on that power. Nah. So you can cut this one a little bit, like in there, like that. And then you want to hit that apex, come out wide. Get on the brakes. Oh, drag radials.
Yep.
What a world we live in where you have to compare a Huracan Evo against a Huracan Performante that both have giant turbos, both from Precision Racing, and are both very, very hard to fault. Honestly, scoring these cars between each other is getting extremely difficult because you are literally, splitting hairs to differentiate the drivability of these cars between them. It's so hard to pick. You're talking half a point out of 20 to pick between these cars, and a lot of it's going to come down to the driver to work out how wins. But this car on 1850, Did it feel faster than 1600? Yeah, it does, but it's because the car is able to handle that power. The chassis is so good, it's not a huge jump that you feel, but you do feel it's a little bit faster. So this is now probably the most power I've ever driven on you know what, probably anything. I know I've driven cars that make 2000, which this one can as well, but driving an 1850, I think that's my new record, so I'm pretty stoked about that. But drivability-wise, the Evo's a little bit softer than the Performante, which suits certain things, probably suits the handling course here a little bit better, probably suits the bump on the runway just that little bit better. But man, it's just almost impossible to fault how good Precision Racing is making these cars. It's going to come down to the driver. So yeah, let's see what this thing does on the handling course, shall we?
My name's Tony. I bought a Lamborghini Huracan Performante. Well, when I first bought it and configured it, it wasn't to modify. But then you kind of get the bug and you want to go faster. Driving it on the road, it feels very similar to a stock car, except you've got to be a lot more careful with the throttle. I can drive it to work in the traffic, no problem, in the rain, all that kind of stuff, as you do any car, and it drives comfortably. The car's built by Precision Racing as a Stage 4+. We've produced over 2,000 at the wheels. Last year at CUDA, we did 850. We have broke the mile an hour record at 182.19. Future mods for the car will probably be to update the turbos to the next gen 76, 75s. We want to try and do some longer distance events with this car, so the top end will be pretty insane.
Tony's Huracan Performante came to the Tuner's Edge drag battle with a big reputation and a big point to prove, as one of the fastest and most powerful legit street cars in the country. This is the most powerful Lambo in the Precision Racing fleet, or the country for that matter, with 2,000 horsepower available thanks to the built engine and twin Precision 76-75 turbochargers. Turbo Smart gates, PR interchillers, billet inlet manifolds and twin Motec ECUs, and a built transmission, and all the gear and all the development behind it as well. Being a Performante, looks, interior and brakes are all good. It just need rims and drag radials to put that power down.
Hi Tony.
Hiya mate.
How often do you get in the passenger seat of this? I've got to ask.
Very rarely.
Is that because it's terrifying as a passenger, or is that just because there's no need?
No need.
Has anything changed since last year?
Yeah, we've been fine-tuning a few things, most notably the suspension.
Yep.
So we've actually set this up for more of a circuit kind of setting, so it's a bit firmer.
Yep.
We've done some work with our traction control and can get a bit more power down now.
Awesome.
So we're looking for some good results, hopefully.
All right, I have a question. What power are we on?
About 1550 or something.
So this should be a walk in the park and roll on in a second, right? You ready?
Yeah.
Let's go.
And each gear keeps getting better and better.
It's going faster and faster.
Yeah, it's how stable it is.
It's so easy. Like on a runway, that power level is almost not.
It's easy.
It's fine. And the more we refine these, and the better we get at them here in Australia.
Do you want to turn it up one?
Yeah, I do.
Just on the in front of you. You know, let me just.
All right, here we go. Because before was actually like easy. Let's go now.
That setting's RHM killer.
Now, first I'll say this, it's a massive privilege to get to drive what is one of the fastest street cars in Australia. You've seen what it can do at roll racing. It has the highest mile per hour of any street car at drag battle to ever go down this runway. Runs under mid-8s here the first time it ever came here, and the goal is obviously to go bottom 8s with this car. One thing I will say before I talk about how awesome this car is I've actually noticed the improvement from last year. And the improvement is just getting the setup right in terms of the traction control, how much power is in each gear, the gear shifts, etc. This thing is actually better than last year, and I didn't think it was possible to be a whole lot better. I'm finding that I drove it now on 1600 horsepower, and it was a walk in the park. It doesn't mean it was boring. It was still massively exciting, but it's a different type of exciting that you get in a Skyline GTR. This is like a time warp. You put your foot down and you come out the other end and go, what just happened? It's not scary in this car because it's just so well set up. Its ability to go from A to B. But where the Lambos and the R35s and the R8s win over so many older cars is you can still drive this car to dinner. You can still go out to the casino, still go on a car cruise. It hasn't lost any of its ability to be driven around compared to the standard car. I know a Lambo's not the most practical thing in the world compared to a normal car, but it hasn't lost any of the practicality or drivability that it had from factory. Tony's done a great job with this car. The guys at Precision have really got on top of this V10 platform even more. It's like they went from being a 9.5 to a 9.9 out of 10 with the drivability of these things. And that's what we're noticing as we catch up to what the US guys have done with these cars. But I can't fault Tony's car. I've driven stock Performantes. This certainly doesn't drive any worse. The suspension's actually set up better in this thing. The gear changes and the drivability are fantastic. Better than standard if I have to compare it. And but then you add that power in and it's just mind-blowing. It obviously has the ability to go to 2,000 horsepower. What's the difference from 1,600 to 2,000 in this car? I think the scale of difference wouldn't be as wild as some other cars. But yeah, man, it's fast. It's done the numbers. You know what it can do. But it's the fact that you're able to get in and extract it easily is actually what this competition is all about. It's all well and good to have the power. It's all well and good to have the number. But if you can't extract it every time or extract it easily without hurting yourself, sometimes that's going a bit backwards, right? So yeah, very tough to beat this car in terms of there's all the advantages of the power and none of the disadvantages. Well, after a very close second after a fierce battle last year, you're back, Tony, and you've done it. You've taken the win. Cars from Japan, ultimate tuner car for 2024. How you feeling, mate?
No, that's brilliant.
It is,
Really
mate.
happy with that. Big team effort. Thanks to the guys. We had a few issues we had to deal with, and the boys put in the work yesterday and got it back out. So we're really happy with the result, and it's a good team effort. And thanks to everyone. Thanks for great.
Come on, boys, yeah! So let me ask, what exactly happened? Because I didn't come over to the pits and check it out firsthand. I got a report through the car was actually apart, right?
Yeah, we had a bit of a problem where a positioning bolt for third gear shaft came loose and popped a plug and dropped a couple of litres in the floor fans and all that, and we managed to hammer the plug back into shape and fix it.
Well done.
Thanks for putting on a great event, and mate, people get down here and do it. It's great fun.
Well, firstly, a big congratulations to Tony in the Precision Racing Twin Turbo Lambo. He has done, I think, what no one else has ever done, and that is a clean sweep. He took out drag battle by being the quickest and fastest with a new record. He took out the drag battle shootout, and now he's taken out the Cars from Japan Ultimate Tuner Car Competition. Total dominance, and proves just how good the Twin Turbo V10 platform is, and obviously when it's done by the guys at Precision Racing. But the thing about this competition though, it's not just about the winner. Every single car gets to showcase how good of a platform they are, how good of a car they are, how good of a driver they are, and how good the workshops are that prepare these cars, which is also highly entertaining.